Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Thoughts of the Young Icon channel with me, Sam. Today, I'm going to talk about a skill that is very essential in this life, a skill that without it, it's pretty much impossible to progress in this life. And that is to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Three skills, actually. So it's very important as an individual to be able to master all of these three skills. And by mastering them, that gives you a greater chance at living the life that you want to live. To find out more about how you're going to do that, watch this video. Thank you very much. Learning is one of the most important skills that a person can have. I feel as if what I've noticed with a lot of people is once we get to a certain age, we stop learning. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that any person can make as an individual or someone who is looking to progress in life. Now, learning is something that is inherent to us as individuals, as human beings. We are always constantly consuming information. And so when I talk about learning, what I'm trying to say is actively choosing to put information in your system, in your brain, that is going to be advantageous to you in one way or another. So when I talk about learning, I don't mean the need to go to class. I don't mean the need for formal education. Of course, if you want to take formal education as one of your ways of learning, it's very important that you also do that, and that's perfectly fine. But every single day, what I've learned is that as people, we need to learn something new. Me personally, I am big on learning something new. Like here you are watching me on YouTube, but I am constantly watching other YouTubers, learning things about different places, learning things about different cultures, learning about how to do my job better. I work in real estate, so I'm constantly studying, reading books about real estate, upgrading myself and making sure that I have the prerequisite knowledge to remain relevant. You see, when you stop learning, you start to become irrelevant. In this global world that we live in, things are changing every day, and that's something that we just need to accept. That is not going to stop anytime soon. Everything is always learning, everything is always changing. So, be- before, let's say the time when I was in high school, the time I was in primary school, we didn't have smartphones. And so, we couldn't take advantage of things like smartphones. We didn't have AI. But the world now, it has AI, it has smartphones, it has internet connectivity everywhere, and there is so much information. One of the skills that becomes very critical in this world of learning and relearning and unlearning is the ability to be able to devise, to be able to know what is true and to know what is a lie. Now, this is a very special skill which comes with time and comes with wide reading. It's kind of funny because I've been in a situation where, and this is really funny. One time, my mom, she sent me a video of, I think it was like a joke, but it was a video that was circulating around social media, and it was talking about how, in order to make ketchup, they use cocaine. And so she sent me this video, and she was serious. There she was telling me, Sam, you need to stop eating ketchup, tomato sauce. You need to stop because there's cocaine in it. And there I was explaining to her that, look, mom, this is not true. This is just a joke that's circulating. And I have countless other examples. So even in our quest for knowledge, one of the very important things that we need to master is the ability to know where to look for knowledge, to know who the credible sources are, to know those people who are not credible and therefore are very likely to deceive. Now, there's the part of unlearning. Man, one of the most difficult skills that I've seen that is required to survive or to truly grow in this life is the skill of unlearning. When you have grown up and you have believed that things were one way, when someone comes and tells you that things are actually this other way, it takes a bit of time to get used to it. In fact, many people simply brush it off and they say you're wrong, and they're argumentative. And basically, they brush aside what is actually true and they choose to believe a lie. I think what comes to mind in my head is um, when during it should have been the Renaissance when they discovered that the Earth was actually round. I heard that it was considered a lie that the world is round because it was believed that the world was flat, and that if you sailed far enough east or west, you could fall off the edges of the world. And obviously, as a 21st century person hearing that, that sounds ridiculous. But there was a point where people actively had to unlearn that the world was flat and to relearn that the world was in fact round. And so relearning is something that's very important. And in order to be able to relearn things, in order to master this art of relearning, what we need to do is to keep an open mind. Now, keeping an open mind has its advantages and it also has its disadvantages. By having an open mind, you leave yourself susceptible and gullible to people giving you false information. But like I said, what becomes very important is to now be able to know who is credible, to be able to look at multiple sources of information and use information from different angles to then help you get to what is actually the truth. And I think in one of my poems I talked about something which I think is fascinating, the idea of the truth being constantly changing while the idea of a lie remaining the same. Well, obviously, I was being poetic and I was talking about how, a lie is always to deceive. But in this instance, I use the word truth lightly. What I actually meant was fact. Because what we know to be facts, even though we claim scientific facts are the truth, there's so many scientific facts that over the years, over the centuries, have been refuted. And you've had to know new truths, new facts. So relearning requires that we keep an open mind. Relearning requires that we start to look for information from sources which are credible, sources which are actually going to give you information which is true. And this becomes very important, especially in times like here in my country, we have elections coming up next year. And that's something that comes into play. The moment you believe one thing, and especially about a political party, sometimes the truth starts to change, and what you thought was the truth, what they said they didn't actually do. And you need to relearn and you need to evaluate. Relearning is about evaluating. It's about evaluating status quo and then to see if it actually merged, if status quo is actually merging with the actual truth. Now, unlearning. Unlearning is one of the hardest skills that anyone can master. Unlearning is basically reprogramming your computer. So relearning, you are putting in new information. Unlearning, you are removing the old information. And removing the old information is a difficult thing to do altogether. But it's a skill, once again, that I insist that you work on. You see, to be stubborn has its advantages. To be stubborn, you may look or you may feel as if you're always right. You may feel or you may look as if you know more than other people. But truthfully, you don't. And I think one of the biggest things that I've had to learn as an individual, one of the biggest take homes that I've had, one of the biggest slices of humble pie that I've had to eat is the need to unlearn and relearn. I think learning is easy because learning starts from a blank form. The sheet was blank and then you're putting in new information. The moment you start to unlearn and relearn, you're talking about erasing, it's about rewriting, it's about a paper that there was something there. And when you erase, yes, even when you use a pencil and you use an eraser, there's usually some marks that are left behind. And don't feel bad, don't feel ashamed. I think that's one of the biggest things that stops people from actually learning and relearning is that shame of, oh, I thought I knew, but I don't know. But I think the moment you overcome that shame, that pride of, I was the one who knew. How come that person didn't know more than me? And I think it becomes particularly important when it's the case of someone who's, say, younger than you. They now seem to know more than you, or they've actually just known. And you see, one thing that I believe us as the older generation we need to understand is, yes, we may know more things, but someone who is younger than us can know one or two things better than us, and so they're worth listening to. Again, always take information and analyze it and look at it based off other informations, other sources, so that you verify its credibility and its authenticity. However, I believe that one of the most important skills that you require in this day and age, a skill that you must practice every single day, is the skill of learning, the skill of unlearning, and the skill of relearning. If you can master these three skills, if you can master this package, then you are definitely destined for greatness. You are definitely destined for a life of constant progression, and nothing can hold you back. If you've watched this far, I'd like you to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to tell a friend about Thoughts of the Young Icon. Thank you very much.